everyone, Dana from Pony Power. I am here with my best friends Missy and Dancer in the background, reading Misty of Chincoteague, Chapter 8. Caught in the whirlpool. On the shores of Chincoteague, the people pressed forward, their faces strained to stiffness as they watched Chincoteague Beach. Here they come! The cry broke out from every throat. Maureen, wedged in between Grandpa Beebe on one side and a volunteer fireman on the other, stood on her mount's back. Her arms paddled the air as if she were swimming and struggling with the wild ponies. Suddenly, a fisherman, looking through binoculars, began shouting in a hoarse voice, "A newborn coal is afeard to swim. It's knee-deep in the water and won't go no further." The crowds yelled their advice. "What's the matter with the roundup, men? Why don't they heft it into deep water? It'll swim all right. Why don't they hist it on the scow?" The fisherman was trying to get a better view. He was crawling out over the water on the wall of piling. It seemed a long time before he had put his binoculars to his eyes again. People waited breathlessly. A small boy began crying. "Shh," commanded his mother. "Listen to the man with the 4 eyes." "The coal's too little to swim," the fisherman bawled out. "Wait! A wild pony is breaking out from the mob, swimming around the mob, escaping." An awed murmur stirred the crowds. Maureen dug her toes into her mouth's back. She strained her eyes to see the fugitive, but all she could make out was a milling mass of dark blobs on the water. The fisherman leaned far out over the water. He made a megaphone with one hand. "Them addle-brained boatmen can't stop the pony," his voice rasped. "It's outsmarting them all." Maureen's mind raced back to the other pony pals. The phantom upsetting a boat. The phantom fleeing through the woods. Always escaping, always free. She clutched the neck of her blouse. She felt gaspy, like a fish flapping about on dry land. Why was the man with the binoculars so slow? Why didn't he say, "It's the phantom"? Who else could it be? Now he was waving one arm wildly. It looked like a straw in the wind. He teetered. He lost his balance. He almost fell into the water with his excitement. "It's the phantom," he screamed at last. "I can see the white map on her shoulders." The people took up the cry, echoing it over and over. "It's the phantom! She's escaped again!" Maureen felt tears on her cheeks and impatiently brushed them away. Again, the fisherman was waving for quiet. "Hush!" bellowed Grandpa Beebe. The people fell silent. They were like listeners around a microphone. "It's the phantom's colt that won't swim," he called out in a voice so hoarse it cracked. "The phantom got separated from a brand-firing new colt. She's gone back to get it." The people whooped and hollered at the news. "The phantom's got a colt," they sang out. "The phantom's got a new colt." Again, the fisherman was waving for silence. "She's reached her colt," he crowed, "but the roundup men are closing in on her. They're making her shove the colt in the water. She's making it swim." Grandpa Beebe cupped the hands around his mouth. "Can the little feller make it?" he boomed. The crowd stilled, waiting for the hoarse voice. For long seconds, no answer came. The fisherman remained as fixed as the piling he stood on. Wave after wave of fear swept over Maureen. She felt as if she were drowning. And just when she could stand the silence no longer, the fisherman began reporting in short, nervous sentences. "They're halfways across. Jumpin' Jupiter, the colt! It's being sucked down in a whirlpool. I can't see it now. My soul and body." A boy has jumped off the scow. "He's swimming out to help the colt." The onlookers did not need the fisherman with the binoculars anymore. They could see for themselves. A boy swimming against the current. A boy holding a colt's head above the swirling water. Maureen gulped great lungfuls of air. "It's Paul!" she screamed. "It's Paul!" On the sides, the shouts went up. "Why, it's Paul!" A picture of all the heads. Very exciting. "Paul Beebe!" Grandpa leaped up on his mount's back as nimbly as a boy. He stood with his arms upraised, his fists clenched. "God help ye, Paul," his words carried out over the water. "You're almost home." Grandpa's voice was as strong as a towboat. Paul was swimming steadily toward it, holding the small silver face of the colt above the water. He was almost there. He was there. Maureen slid down from her mount, clutching a handful of mane. "You made it, Paul! You made it!" she cried. The air was wild with whinnies and snorts as the ponies touched the hard sand, then scrambling up the shore, their wet bodies gleaming in the sun. Paul half carried the little colt up the steep bank, then suddenly it found its own legs. Shouts between triumph and relief escaped every throat as the little filly tottered up the bank. Almost to the top, her feet went scooting out from under her, and she was down on the sand, her sides heaving. Maureen felt a new stab of fear. If only the big ponies would not crush her, that tender white body among all those thrashing hooves. What chance had she? What chance with the wild wind for a mother? But all the wildness seemed to have ebbed out of the phantom. She picked her 4 feet high, then she carefully straddled her colt and fenced in the small white body with her slender legs. For a brief second, Paul and Maureen's eyes met above the crowds. It was as if they and the mare and her foal were the only creatures on the island. They were unaware of the great jostling and fighting as the stallions sorted out their own mares and colts. They were unaware of everything but a sharp ecstasy. Soon the phantom and her colt will belong to them, never to be sold. There's a picture of Mom over the baby. The Pied Piper wheeled around Paul. He peered at the dripping boy from under his matted forelock. Then he trumpeted as if to say, "The sopping creature is no mare of mine." And he pushed Paul out of the way while the crowds laughed hysterically. Dodging horses and people, Grandpa Beebe made his way over to Paul. "Paul, boy," he said, his voice unsteady, "I swimmed the whole way with you. You're the most wonderful and the craziest young'un in the world. Now get home right smart quick," he added, trying to sound very stern. "You're about done up and Grandma's expecting you. Maureen and I'll see to it that the phantom and her colt reach the pony pens." And there's Paul with the